one and all. Welcome to another episode of MMA Vision Analysis. This one, I'm here to talk about UFC 304's heavyweight bout that took place between Tom Aspinall, current interim heavyweight champion, and challenger Curtis Blaydes. But before getting started, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification to get all of this that is new from this channel, your channel, the one and only MMA Vision Analysis. Well, this fight was over before it even started. In all honesty, UFC 304 as a card in general, I think did not live up to expectations. There was a lot of caution practiced from many fighters, with an exception of few fights. This was definitely one of them. We were expecting a knockout in this fight. At least a majority of combat sports lovers understand that when two heavyweights meet, especially when the two heavyweights are Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blaydes, then the chances of the fight ending in a knockout is very high. Obviously, this fight ended in the first round. Some may dispute the stoppage. It was really a jab that stopped the fight ultimately. How powerful is Tom Aspinall to put a guy like Curtis Blaydes away with a jab? Literally. There were a few shots. Obviously, other shots landed after that. But the beginning of the end was a jab. It's unbelievable the power that Tom Aspinall holds. The fact that he put down Curtis Blaydes with a jab. Obviously, the first fight between the two ended abruptly due to a knee injury to Tom Aspinall, effectively giving him a loss, his only loss in the UFC. Last night, Tom Aspinall was able to avenge his loss and further cement his status as the interim champion. And after the fight, he went on to say that he thinks that he is better than Jon Jones, and he cannot wait for the opportunity to unify the title and cement himself as the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Those are large statements that have to be backed up with an actual performance against the actual champion, Johnny Bones Jones. I'm trying to give both guys the respect here. I kind of have problem with interim titles in all honesty, but I do understand the necessity of an interim title in this situation. Jon Jones has been out for, I don't even remember how long at this point. I do understand that it's due to injury and other reasons that perhaps a majority of MMA fans are perhaps oblivious to. We're not quite sure what Jon Jones is dealing with, but he is the heavyweight champion. Obviously, being out due to injury or whatever reason, we had to create this interim title, a title that, in all honesty, how I look at the interim title is just a washed down version of the actual championship. With all respect to everybody that actually held that interim title, but I believe there was a bit of a curse attached to that interim title as well. I can recall a couple names: Tony Ferguson and Dustin Poirier, two guys that held that interim title but were never able to capture the actual title. I hope that's not the case for Tom Aspinall. Obviously, I'm a fan of the sport. Tom Aspinall is a younger fighter than Jon Jones is. Therefore, people may look at him as the future, even though Tom Aspinall himself is in his early 30s. So there are other younger fighters, but the world of MMA is a world, and specifically the UFC, it's a sport where we see guys mature in their late 20s, early 30s. That's when they truly enter their prime. So perhaps Tom Aspinall, I believe in early 30s, is somewhat relatively young for a heavyweight. Realistically, we could see, if this guy captures the actual title, we could see that range stretch for 3, 4, 5 years. You never know. In all honesty, the competition in that heavyweight division is not as deep as people like to think it is. That's why you see guys get a couple of wins and they're already in talks of a title shot. I don't look at the heavyweight division as a division that's has depth in terms of talent, but it certainly has power with the limited amount of talent that it has. For a guy like Tom Aspinall, I do understand he wants to get in there with Johnny Bones Jones as soon as possible to determine who is the best. I mentioned, I think earlier in this video, that Johnny is dealing with an injury. I do realize that a few weeks ago there was some news circulating around the internet of Johnny dealing with an injury. I'm not quite sure of the details of the injury. Therefore, what I'm trying to say here is that Jon Jones' return date is just kind of unknown, simply put. Last time, in all honesty, I saw Jon Jones' video circulating of him. With all respect to the pound for pound, I do understand people may call other fighters pound for pound great. But first of all, I digress a bit. I cannot wait for that loss, the DQ loss for Jon Jones to be removed just because of the change in rules in terms of the 12-6 elbows. Obviously, that's how Johnny has the only blemish on his record. Therefore, he has a perfect record. Unmatched, only Khabib Nurmagomedov was able to do the same. So I cannot wait for that to be fixed. In all honesty, I think that Johnny has to appeal the decision, and I think ultimately he will win that decision, just because it's just, if you're going to change the rules, let's go back in retrospect and change that decision. I do understand if you change it for him, you're probably going to have to change it for many other fights, but for Jon Jones, we're talking about somebody who needs this to be removed. It's a small blemish. It's just not right. If you were going to change the rules, let's change it. In retrospect, for Johnny Bones, just because he deserves it. Like I said, I do digress a bit. But in terms of a return date, it's pretty much indefinite. Nobody really knows when Johnny Bones Jones is coming back into the octagon. And I kind of feel sorry for Tom Aspinall, just because you are in your prime and you feel like you have momentum and you know that you have a lot of confidence in or belief that you think that you will be able to take out a Jon Jones. As I was mentioning earlier in recent videos, Jon Jones, Father Time catches up to all of us. But Johnny just doesn't look like Jon Jones from 10 years ago. He's like I said, age is kind of looking like he's kind of catching up to Jon Jones, just in terms of physical appearance. With no disrespect to the heavyweight champion here. So, what I'm trying to say here is that time is running out. It's not on Jon Jones' side. Obviously, Tom Aspinall wants to get in there with Jon Jones. It's kind of determine who is the better heavyweight. But obviously, Johnny dealing with injuries. It's uncertain when Johnny is to step foot back in the octagon. So what does a guy like Tom Aspinall do? That's a serious question to ask. I did speculate, and I did mention the fact that we'll probably see Alex Pereira fight, the winner of the Blaydes Aspinall fight, which in this case was obviously Tom Aspinall, current interim champion. But how does this make sense for Aspinall, even though he may view this as an easy fight? And is Alex Pereira willing to step up in weight in such a short amount of time? I mean, as big as Alex Pereira is, he's not as big as Tom Aspinall is, and that could probably cause him serious issues. Tom Aspinall is a big heavyweight. There are larger heavyweights, but just in comparison to the light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira, obviously has a lot of weight over him. But I believe now Alex Pereira's ability to gain proper mass to fight in that heavyweight division. This scenario is probably more likely to unfold just because of the doubt not so much doubt, but just the uncertainty behind Jon Jones' return date. It's just nobody really knows when Jon Jones is to step foot back in the octagon. It's just the truth. And I kind of feel sorry for all the parties involved. Mostly Tom Aspinall, just because, like I said, he has momentum. And he feels like he's in his prime, and he feels like that if there's any chance for him taking out Jon Jones, it's now. Now is the time. If everything was perfect, it's still July. We're end of July. I mean, if Johnny is able to get back in there by December, it would be a fantastic way to end the year. Unify those two titles, the interim and the heavyweight title. Combine them into one and just put that title back in action. So, very interested to see what happens in that heavyweight division, a division that is somewhat unstable at this point, just because the champion is out. And nobody really knows when the champion will step a foot back in the octagon. I think at some point, if this keeps going, I think the UFC is probably going to ask Jon Jones to relinquish that title, because I don't think that Tom Aspinall is going to wait around for a year to unify that title. It's just not going to happen. The division has been held up for a long time now, and you can't keep throwing interim title matches. In all honesty, the fans are only going to keep up with that for so long until it's going to start getting tiring, and I think we're already kind of reaching that point, in all honesty. If you made it this far, I appreciate you for sticking around. Please let me know what you think in the comments and like, subscribe for more.